I have no doubt that it was a cool experience. It was not historic or significant in any way.
Wow, what a valiant explorer.
Katy! Woo!
11 minutes really isn't that long.
Now, so they go up there and they float for like 10 minutes?
10 minutes, you know, for as long as like your average YouTube video takes.
She was in space for 4 minutes. She's got longer songs than that.
Just so ridiculous the way some of the media were covering it, the way they were like self-congratulatory. They've gone next level.
Picture this. Katy Perry strapped into a space capsule, heart pounding as the Blue Origin rocket fires up beneath her. In moments, she's blasting off to the edge of space, a pop superstar literally reaching for the stars. The plan was outrageous and brilliant, a publicity stunt to top all publicity stunts. High above the Earth, Katy floats in zero gravity, grinning from ear to ear as she holds up a butterfly-shaped card with song titles, revealing the setlist for her upcoming Lifetimes tour in the most out-of-this-world way possible. It was the ultimate high, both literally at 62 miles above Earth and figuratively for her career. Or so it seemed in that exhilarating moment.
Katy Perry, in other words, had certainly set the bar high for herself. She was so insufferably stupid.
Back on Earth, the reaction to this cosmic spectacle wasn't the universally awestruck applause Katy's team had hoped for. Instead, people were confused. Was this for real? Did Katy Perry really just go to space to promote her tour? It was as if everyone collectively raised an eyebrow and asked, wait, what did we just witness? Sure, it was undeniably cool to see a pop icon floating in microgravity, but many couldn't shake the feeling that the whole thing felt bizarrely off. Instead of sparking excitement for the tour, the stunt left a lot of folks scratching their heads. What Katy's camp thought would be a triumphant PR win was quickly morphing into a PR nightmare. Behind closed doors, her team went into panic mode. Phone calls were flying back and forth as managers, publicists, and tour organizers all tried to get a handle on the situation. This wasn't in the script. They expected headlines about Katy conquers space. But instead, they were getting a lot of, why did Katy Perry even do this? Vibes. The confusion was rapidly turning into criticism, and that criticism was starting to snowball. Even some fellow celebrities weighed in with disapproval, which only poured more fuel on the fire. In short, the whole thing was teetering on the edge of turning into a full-blown fiasco. Inside Katy's inner circle, an urgent question loomed. What now? The Lifetimes tour was about to kick off in a matter of days, and their big promotional stunt was blowing up in their faces. They had two options. One camp argued they should distance the tour from the spaceflight entirely, pretend it never happened, and refocus the narrative on Katy's music and signature pop spectacle, no rockets required. Cut their losses and move on. But another camp, including reportedly Katy herself at first, felt that the only way out was through. In other words, double down. Instead of running from the space theme, they would lean into it fully and make the tour an extension of this cosmic adventure. It was a bold, risky idea, and it was about to set the tone for everything that came next. They chose to press ahead and infuse the whole tour with the spaceflight's DNA. After all, the tour was literally being promoted as Katy's galaxy-spanning journey back to the stage, so why not crank that theme to 11? Almost overnight, creative plans for the concerts were tweaked to ramp up the space vibes. The stage design? Now it featured a gigantic LED backdrop of the cosmos, swirling galaxies, shooting stars, the works. At the start of each show, fans would hear a thunderous countdown booming through the arena as if a rocket were about to launch. There was even talk of using actual footage from Katy's Blue Origin flight on the big screens, letting the audience relive that weightless moment when she unveiled her set list floating in midair. And the wardrobe followed suit. Katy would emerge in a dazzling spacesuit-inspired costume, like a glam astronaut princess, complete with metallic boots and cosmic accessories. Her dancers? Decked out as funky aliens and mission crew members, turning the stage into a zero-gravity dance party. It was bold, eye-popping, and impossible to ignore. And then came the idea of special guests, the cherry on top of this space sundae. If Katy's show was now a full-on cosmic extravaganza, why not invite some real-life space figures to join the fun? Her team brainstormed guest appearances that would hammer home the theme. There were whispers that one or two of her fellow Blue Origin crewmates might pop up on stage during the tour. Imagine it. Partway through the show, the music pauses and out strolls one of the women who actually went to space with Katy. Maybe Gail King in a sparkly flight suit, sharing a laugh and a quick chat about their adventure. Or one of Katy's spaceflight sisters delivering a short, empowering message to the crowd about boldly going where no pop star has gone before. They even toyed with the idea of bringing out a well-known astronaut or a space industry VIP as a surprise guest in certain cities. A cameo to say, hey, space is cool, and give the spectacle an extra layer of authenticity. Nothing was off limits. The message from Team Katy was clear. She wasn't backing down from her trip to the stars. She was doubling down and taking the whole audience with her. To outside observers, though, these moves looked less like clever showmanship and more like digging the hole deeper. The phrase doubling down on a bad idea was on everyone's lips. It was as if, instead of reading the room and easing off the space gimmick, Katy's camp said full speed ahead into the very thing people had been mocking. Some fans were bewildered. They bought tickets to see a pop concert, not a space circus. Critics and the media were already sharpening their knives. One entertainment writer wryly joked that the tour was shaping up to be Cirque du Soleil meets NASA, and not in a good way. Ouch. It was a gamble of cosmic proportions. Would the audience buy into this interstellar theme, or would it just keep reminding everyone of the stunt that started this whole mess? The first show of the tour arrived, and with it, the moment of truth. On opening night in Mexico City, fans packed the arena to see how this grand experiment would play out. Sure enough, the concert opened with all the cosmic fanfare that had been planned. The countdown, the rocket visuals, Katy descending as if from the heavens in her space diva attire. For a moment, the spectacle did dazzle. There were gasps and cheers at the sheer audacity of it all. But as the show went on, something strange lingered in the air. Instead of being completely swept up in the music, a lot of people couldn't stop thinking about that Blue Origin stunt. It was like a weird shadow hanging over the whole performance. Every time Katy addressed the crowd or performed a space-themed number, it reminded everyone of the controversy, rather than letting them escape into the music. And then, mere days into the tour, reality hit hard. Katy abruptly announced the 2 upcoming concerts in Mexico were being canceled. Officially, the reason given was that the venue wasn't finished in time. Maybe that was true, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Here she was, barely out of the gate, and already parts of the Lifetime's tour were derailed. To fans and commentators, it felt like confirmation that the whole space saga had thrown things into disarray. Behind the scenes, the mood was sobering. The wild gamble had not paid off as envisioned. Insiders quietly let slip that Katy was regretting the entire spaceflight spectacle in hindsight, especially the footage of her giddily floating in microgravity while trying to hype her tour. Now that she was back on solid ground, she could see how it all might have come off as more cringe than cool. This wasn't the triumphant narrative she'd imagined for her grand tour kickoff. And so, what began as a starry-eyed stunt ended as a crash course in learning your audience. Katy Perry's venture to space was supposed to launch her new era with a bang. Instead, it nearly derailed her biggest tour before it even left the atmosphere. It's a tale so wild it almost sounds made up. A pop superstar goes to space, sparks an uproar, then tries to turn the whole ordeal into a concert theme. Someday, it might just be a quirky anecdote in Katy's career, a crazy remember when story for the pop culture books. But right now, it's very real and very messy. In the end, she aimed for the stars and got a harsh reminder that even for a global icon, not every out-of-this-world idea lands smoothly back on Earth.